Welcome once again to Obnoxious Englishman Talks Over Gameplay. What makes a smart person, really? Glasses? Fancy words? Knowing a lot about science? Clearly there's a distinct margin between someone who's really clever and not, e.g. me versus a rocket scientist. But when you really think about it, being smart is just knowing a bunch of facts. For example, I've been playing a lot of Trivial Pursuit recently with my brothers, and the questions are like, what type of frog likes my bumhole? And I don't know the answer because I'm not interested in frogs. But on the entertainment category, I've got it nailed. I tend to win a lot on the entertainment category because I know about that industry, and I'm actually interested in it. Does that make me smart because I know random shit about movies and TV shows and all that bollocks? No, it doesn't. And when you think about it, when you're at school and you're revising and you're learning, you literally are just taking in facts. I just feel there's a big difference between being academically smart and being smart when it actually comes to life. I had a girlfriend once who was an absolute nerd. She won awards at school or some shit. But when it came to making decisions in her life, she was awful. I had to pretty much make them all for her. She used to get mad at me as well because I beat her every time at chess. Every board game ever pretty much I'd destroy her on. Pretty much anything that a smart person should, beat me on. Just wasn't happening. I'm not trying to be like, I'm really smart and I'm really good at chess. The reason why I'm saying that is because she just get really angry at me for it. Because for me, I got expelled from school. I did a little bit of college and did film school for a bit. That was when I was in Dubai for a year doing university. Academically, I've got shit grades. Whereas, A stars on everything pretty much for her. So logically, she's obviously getting mad because she should beat me. Now, I don't mean this for everything ever. Are you kidding me? Of course I don't. I learned a lot of stuff when I was at film school that helped me with my job. Things like that where you're learning how to do something. Especially when it comes to actual decisions in life, Social skills are a big thing that I noticed in this industry, the gaming industry, going to conventions and whatever. But people are smart in different ways. For example, I think I'm pretty smart when it comes to audio. I'm pretty smart when it comes to improvisation and my voices and writing. And I'd be lying if I didn't say I'm really good at my job, man. I can get 5 episodes of something done in a day, which would take somebody about a week. And I can say that because it's true. I'm damn good at what I do. But again, does that make me smart? I don't know, but I guess if I use fancy words and spoke in a posh accent, then you probably think I would. Which leads me into my whole point of this video. I hate the fact that people are judged on their smartness from the words they use and their accent, I guarantee if I had made any of these videos talking like this. So this morning I'm going to talk to you about the intelligence of others and how it affects society and how most people perceive one another. Guarantee if I spoke like that for the whole video, you'd be like, oh, this guy's well smart. I really hate it, I think that's why there's those TV shows, people are like, oh, that show's really smart. And it's like, it's not smart. It's not even clever. It's just they use fancy words. So that automatically means it's a clever, funny show. People are so easily duped into thinking something sounds smart when it just really isn't. I mean, goddamn, have you ever watched The Matrix Reloaded? Half the dialogue is just fancy words said in a fancy way so it sounds fancy. And really, it means like nothing. It's actually really funny. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a genius. I wouldn't say I'm a dumbass though. But I feel in terms of life and making decisions and my social skills and things that actually apply to life, I would consider myself smart in that manner. Just because I swear a lot and don't use fancy words and my accent's kind of brummy, doesn't necessarily mean that someone who speaks like, oh yes, and uses fancy words is smarter than me. And if you're there like, well, I don't judge people like that. I don't know. I feel subconsciously we just do, Myself included. This is the thing. Whenever I make a video, it's just my opinion. And even my opinion, I'm not exempt from any of it. I call out people on stuff, but I do the same thing. I am not superior in any way. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I despise YouTube so much. Everyone just thinks they're so superior all the time. A lot of these YouTubers, a lot of people in this industry especially. It's interesting as well because a lot of people that I've been with, or just know in general, they always say sometimes, you're actually a lot smarter than you look, you know that? Or, you're actually really clever, aren't you? And I think to myself, what do you mean smarter than I look? What do you mean just by I'm really smart? You just assume I'm not intelligent because of the way I speak? Because of my accent? Because I put product in my hair? I just think it's really interesting how people judge people so much based on how they speak and the words they use. Just saying, this game does not perform adequately in comparison to this piece of entertainment, then this game is fucking shit. Does that suddenly make people smarter for using big words and speaking in a fancy accent? I hate it. The thing I realize every time I do one of these videos as well is that there's never an answer. There's always going to be an argument against everything I say. Even when I say something, I can think of the argument in my head. I'm arguing with myself as I make the point. And there's always a counter to every argument ever. I guess all I'm saying is try not to judge people on their voices. And just because someone does use fancy words or has a nice accent or whatever, doesn't mean everything that they're saying is right and they're automatically smart and you should listen to what they have to say, And for people who don't have fancy words and have, an accent that apparently isn't considered smart in today's society, don't assume they're unintelligent. I think that's why my sarcasm didn't work very well in America, because everybody I worked with thought I was a dumbass. They assume I'm not intelligent. So if I say something sarcastic like, who's Beethoven? They're going to assume I don't know that, because they assumed I wasn't intelligent. And seeing as I'm sarcastic most of the time, just come across an idiot, although in reality, they're idiots for not even realizing it. And again, like I said, there's always a counter to everything I say, because I'm a hypocrite. I judge people all the time. I do a fucking show called Cringe Factor where I sit there and judge people. It's just really interesting because when it comes down to it, I really don't care what people do with their lives. I don't care about your sexuality. I don't care what you do. If you want to be a brony or a furry or shit on each other's faces, do what you want, man. I'm not bothered. You could judge people for fun, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's what you really think, But that topic's for a different time. I actually need a shit so bad. I've been holding holding it in for the last like fucking 5 minutes. I've got to go. I'm gonna poo myself. So see you later.